Welcome FamilyAffaires.com contributor Dr. Dan Gottlieb. Hi, Dr. Dan.
Hey, Roseanne.
Dr. Dan, we just came off of Mother's Day, okay? And I was with a friend and I overheard somebody speaking to somebody else. And it made me think that this is a really good topic to talk about with you.
What were they talking about?
Well, it was Mother's Day and they were two women. And one woman was saying to the other, "What are you doing for Mother's Day? How are you celebrating?" So the other woman said, "Well, I really don't have a relationship with my mother." And the other woman was like so surprised, like it was something so awful. She was like, "Oh, why not?" And the woman explained that she had a toxic relationship with her mother. And at a certain point in her life, she decided it was best to disconnect than to go through the agony of trying to maintain this relationship that was just not right for her and it wasn't working. The other woman was actually making her feel guilty for doing that.
Was she being successful?
What do you mean by being
Well,
successful?
was the woman who cut off the relationship with her mother, was she in fact feeling guilty?
No, it was clear that she wasn't.
Okay.
She was so resolved to the fact, and she was very calm, and I just thought that, so many times you hear about this, or you'll hear about, how could you do that? You only have two parents, whether it's a mom or a dad, but sometimes I'm a true believer that it is best to walk away. It's not any different than people who divorce. If the relationship is toxic.
Right.
What do you think about this?
I've got a lot of thoughts about it. I hate that label, toxic.
It's a label.
Yeah, and you say any label often enough, it becomes your truth.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe there are occasions where you do have to do that for your own safety.
Mm-hmm.
I believe those occasions are few, but they're real, and they have to be done. I've treated many people who had cut relationships off with their parents, and now they're adults, and their parents are aging. And the reason they cut off these relationships is because they felt that their parents were assaulting them verbally, or even abusing them verbally, not hearing them, not loving them properly, etc., etc. And all of it might be true. So you got to cut it off because you're feeling powerless and voiceless in that relationship. So you cut it off. It feels like to save your own life. Over the years, when you cut that relationship off, you continue to feel powerless in the face of that relationship. So I would say to you, the issue here is the same as it was when you were younger, when you cut off your parents. The issue is your well-being, and for you to be happy, to feel empowered, to feel whole, and to feel safe to love. And as long as you're keeping your own genetic donors at arm's length, yeah, you can't get away from that.
Right.
You get away from your spouse, not your genes. As long as you're keeping them at arm's length, you're disempowered. They have more power than you do. And the other thing is, we might have been traumatized by these people. And if that's the case, you know what trauma does to the brain, right? So it lays down neural pathways quickly. Mm-hmm. And those pathways are hard to undo. So I'll give you an example. Okay. Treating a woman years ago, she was in her mid-50s. She'd cut off her father and hadn't spoken to him in decades. He was an abuser and a pedophile. He was raping her sister my patient's sister when they were kids. The sister committed suicide. The father said to her, if anyone ever finds out, I'll kill you. Mm-hmm. Okay. She cut him off, and rightly so. Okay? Here we are, 30 years later, 35 years later, and she still feels unsafe.
Wow.
Because of that traumatic learning.
Right.
She doesn't know that her father is now 88 years old, that she's 55, that she's safe. Mm-hmm. I said, go meet him. She felt unsafe doing that. We brought him in.
Wow.
And she saw an old man who's unstable.
Did it make her feel better?
Changed
that
everything.
She had the power
It changed everything. And talk about taking back your power. Mm-hmm. She cared for this man.
Wow.
That's the way to take back your own power. Mm-hmm. Pushing away leaves you disempowered. Taking in, you help regain your own power. I'm saying not for everybody who's in.
Okay.
But the further away you keep people, the more powerless you feel. Mm-hmm. What I want for you is well-being, a sense of safety in your own life, in your own skin, and knowing what's safe, what's not, and what's no longer dangerous to you.
And that's really different for everybody. You just have to know it within yourself and feel it.
Yeah, and not in your prefrontal cortex, but in your heart.
Great message. Thanks, Dr. Dan.